but we should be good now. So my name's Luke. I'm the program manager in the capital and investments team here at ClimAccelerator, and I'll be your host for the day. So ClimAccelerator Demo Day is an opportunity to see some of the best startups that have come through our accelerator programs from across Europe. They are all pushing to create decisive positive tipping points to help us halve emissions by 2030. Today's demo day will comprise 8 startups pitching for 5 minutes to our investor panel. This will be followed by 5 minutes of questions from our investor panel. If you, the audience, have any additional questions for our startups, feel free to reach out to them individually or put them here in the chat, and we'll look to get back to you after they've pitched. And we've got a great investor panel from across Europe who I'd like to introduce now. I'm going to start off with, actually, I was looking through our CRM system, and I actually spotted this gentleman's name in our CRM because back, I won't say how many years ago, he was part of one of our accelerator programs and has now moved into the investment space. So I'm going to start by introducing Felix and welcome him to the stage.
Hi, everyone. My name is Felix, and yes, Luke, as you said, we were part of the ClimAccelerator Accelerator program, I think in 2011 we started, and it was a great journey, and ClimAccelerator really helped us when we were struggling, when we actually had difficulties, and ClimAccelerator was or is an integrational part of my success in the past. So I'm really happy to be here today.
Felix, tell us a little bit about your fund and the investments that you make.
We are an early stage venture capital fund focused on pre-seed and seed deals, asset light. So we don't mind if there's a hardware component in it. We want to see a software business model, or the revenues actually coming from software. And we invest in the 3 buckets: mobility, smart city, and energy, completely in Europe. And as I said, I'm really excited to get to know all these companies that made it that far.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Felix. I'd like to welcome to stage our next investor. I'm super excited. She recently joined Speed Invest. We're starting to see their climate tech investments go up since she joined. So I'd like to welcome to stage Namratha from Speed Invest.
Thanks so much for having me here. Quick intro. So Speed Invest is a pre-seed and seed investor across Europe, pretty generalistic. On the climate side, we look at hardware, software, mitigation, adaptation across the polluting sectors, food, agriculture, mobility, energy, and construction. And our sweet spot is across Europe. Thank you.
Awesome. And next, I'd like to welcome to stage Cedric. Cedric's also been supporting a number of our startups through investments. So I'm really pleased to see he's here. Over to you, Cedric.
Yeah, very excited to be here. So I'm Cedric. I lead growth equity and climate tech Europe at Global Founders Capital. I led our transaction into Climeworks quite recently and Pashama, with background in private equity and M&A. And talking a bit more about GFC, multi-stage, multi-sector fund, mostly in the past dedicated to fintech and SaaS. However, now, last 12 months, a lot of dedication also into sustainability. Did a transaction of Universal Hydrogen, Lydian, which is sustainable aviation, did a BEX deal, did a deal in enhanced weathering. So very much, let's say, focusing lately on everything climate tech. So yeah, excited.
That's awesome, Cedric. Welcome. And I'd like to welcome to stage our last investor on our investor panel, Rebecca. Is Rebecca here? Perfect.
Yes,
Rebecca,
hi.
welcome. Super excited to hear about your new fund as well. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So yeah, I'm from Revent. We're a new or somewhat new early stage impact VC in Europe. So a 60 million fund investing pre-seed to Series A in what we describe as kind of the big problems, and looking for founders trying, ambitious enough to solve these big urgent problems in massive markets. And we see these we look a lot at climate, but we don't just look at climate. But you can imagine we do a lot of climate, food, health, and empowerment. Yeah, somewhat new, as I said, 60 million fund. We've done 14 investments to date, and very, very excited to meet the cohort. My background, very briefly, was engineering, product management, and kind of pivoted from very large companies to very small ones until I joined the venture side.
Thanks, Rebecca. Super happy to have you here and investing in hopefully some of these awesome companies we're about to show. So I'm going to, without further ado, let's move on to the main event and our climate innovators. Just a quick reminder, each presentation is going to be 5 minutes in length. I will cut you off if it goes significantly over 5 minutes to our entrepreneurs, and then that'll be followed by 5 minutes of questions from our investors. Our first startup, I'm really pleased to announce, is Ryan Robinson from AEROPOWDER. Ryan, over to you.
Hiya. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Ryan.
My slides, hiya. Hopefully my slides have been updated and I can't see where to click them and to activate them. And if not, I'll take the risk of sharing my screen and we'll see how that goes.
Let's have a look. Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
So you need to go to the share, and upload slides button, apparently.
I've got it. I can see it. Let's hope this is the recent one.
I can see Lumio and slide 1 at the moment. If you flick to slide 2 quickly. Good. Yeah. You're good to go.
You know what? This isn't the right one that was updated last night, but we're going to go with it because as an entrepreneur, you need to be flexible, right, everyone? So let's just run with it. So, hi everybody. My name's Ryan. I'm founder here of AEROPOWDER, and a product name is Plumo. So we'll clear that up in a second. We're a small team based in London. My background, I'm a scientist by training, and now as a CEO and a founder, I do a bit of everything. But we've got team members, a few of them here in the UK, part-time, full-time, and one in Denmark as well. But our focus is on surplus feathers. Around the world, a huge amount of this material is generated every single day as a byproduct of the food industry. And I know there's a lot of talk about the future of food, but as it remains, poultry is a very fast-growing protein source. It's not going away anytime soon. But we never stop to think what happens to all of this material. So we have used this abundant surplus material to create the world's first thermal packaging material made from surplus feathers, and that is Plumo. So I've got some in my hands. You can't really feel it or touch it from across the screen, but it's a wonderful, light, sort of soft, insulative packaging material. And the reason we're doing that is I think we sit at the intersection of a lot of interesting topics right now. The world's gone topsy-turvy with a lot of supply chain disruptions. So how are we making these materials? What kind of packaging materials are required as economies grow? And then, balancing that with the environmental aspect of, we can't be using these sort of conventional styrofoam, polystyrene-based materials. And obviously we need to switch to lower carbon sort of solutions for the future. So Plumo and what we're doing with the circular economy, creating entirely new materials, sits in the very middle of that. So essentially what it is, might not be obvious when I held it up, but, 2 Plumo liners go inside a cardboard box and replaces the polystyrene material found inside that. And so food or pharmaceutical items can be kept chilled during transport. This is the cold chain, again, growing very rapidly as we switch to, further e-commerce. A lot of talk now about the future of pharmaceuticals and personalized medicine that requires, special proteins and substances that need to be kept chilled during transport. And at the end, we're designing for reuse and recycling as well. I know there are always slides in here that don't make sense, but okay. Now, the key thing is when we go and talk to clients, we're not about sustainability first and foremost. Actually, we're about performance. And that's one of the very exciting things about the technology we're developing and the materials. When we run box tests, we can demonstrate consistently that if you insulate a box using Lumio, you're getting longer delivery times versus either conventional polystyrene or the other sort of sustainable options on the market. So we lead with best-in-class performance as our sort of best foot forward. And what's also really exciting is, even some of there's a really big startup out in the US called TemperPak has recently raised the Series D, led by Goldman Sachs, and we have the beating of them as well. So, if we can crack this, there's a huge market available and a lot of opportunity in the cold chain packaging space. Some numbers which I won't have time to go into, but again, obviously, we come from a climate kick background, as mentioned before. Obviously, very interested in understanding where we're at today with our carbon footprints. What are the materials we're using, and how do we, take it to the next level after that? That's boring and no time for that. So we've got a growing customer base. Lumio is on the market. We have an ethical farm based in Oxford. We just launched with a very nice little brand doing frozen prepared meals for the elderly. By Ruby is our key client, sort of some award-winning frozen meals here in the UK. So all these clients are using Lumio to insulate their deliveries and keep them safe and secure for overnight, shipments. As well as the commercial side, we're also doing really well with the research. We are a technology and innovation business, and we're leading a €2 million Eurostyles project, that's H2020 funding, collaborating with a number of interesting parties across Europe on how we commercialize and industrialize our manufacturing process. And we actually manufacture in Denmark, which is something I've missed off this deck. But yes, we looked around for partners, and spirit of collaboration and partnership, we found someone in Denmark who got us going, and that's where we're at today. Now, probably what I was going to speak about a few weeks or months back was seed funding and how we expand and maximize our capabilities with what we've got at the moment. What's actually happening right this second, though, is a very exciting opportunity has arisen for a US Northern American launch, and we are now underway with that. That is crowdfunding right now, and we're raising sort of more of a pre-seed amount to get that going, and it's a phased launch schedule to sort of cycle through and replicate what we're doing here out in the US. So yeah, that's a summary. I've got 20 seconds left apparently. So we deliver amazing performance, we're revenue generating, we're circular in using waste materials, as well as, and I've not had time to touch on it, how we can reuse and recycle this. And right now, I'll be in America in a week or two, getting the first test units produced, obviously getting those out to early potential clients. And yeah, there's a lot of plans here about how we scale this. Lots of different products, different solutions. We've got an oil spill based material that we've just announced as well. So we're not just about packaging, we're about circular economy, we're about using waste materials, using surplus feathers to create high performance materials anywhere in the world, wherever there are feathers. And that's us. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan, and well done as well. Apologies that we obviously I think sometimes we feel like we're a really large organisation that can deal with all these last minute changes, but on occasion we become very much a startup as well. So I thought you did great going through those slides and cutting it down to 5 minutes. So well done, and super exciting what's going on with your business in America. I'm going to hand over to our investors. If you want to jump in with any questions.
Sure, I'll go first. I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit about the procurement, I guess, and what you're using for to make these.
Okay, there's so I will in my pitch you probably were thinking about chicken and poultry and food production. That is what's going to come online right now, because there's also additional like any waste material streams. There's how do you obtain this material, how do you secure it? What we're actually doing is taking a half step back. And actually, the materials that are used in the products today are surplus from the bedding and duvet industry. So interestingly, the giant feathers that would jab us in our face or in our clothes, that's a waste material, a surplus for that industry. So we're intercepting that. And our supplier is a local business in Denmark near our manufacturing partner. They were actually paying to have those taken to landfill. And so obviously that's great that we can now intercept that and turn that into useful material. We're getting that for free and just paying for transport costs. And out in the US, there's a similar situation where we're now negotiating with the supplier. They were having to do things like consider shipping them out to China to have them, resorted and repurposed and all these other things. So, if they can keep them local and turn them into packaging materials, that's, very interesting for them as well.
Awesome. Next, I see Namraf has gone off mute. Over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Ryan. I'm a big fan of reusing, waste in other industries for repurposing it for different purposes. Curious about what are the operational or process related challenges that you face, right from when you procure to creating the product, but also you mentioned Denmark and your business is in a different place. So how do you manage all of that?
We pay a lot of money is the easy answer for transport, which is terrible. No, I mean, so just from a logistical point of view, we got to get it started. We got to be able to get the product out to market and show that this works. In the long term, think of everything I'm talking about as being localized supply chains, local manufacturing, these kind of things. So that's one of the things. Now, we are using existing textile manufacturing equipment, but what I would say is throughout all the process we're talking about, yes, technologies and processes exist, but I would say they only work about 80% of the way they're supposed to with this unique material, which are feathers. They're very lightweight. Properties like hydrophobicity, all these other things. So you can get it to work, but I know that the work we're doing in behind the scenes to optimize and commercialize this is that last 20% that's very important to throughput, efficiency, just getting a quality product every single time. And that's some of the core IP that we're working on. We do have a patent filing on the production process itself. That's been approved by the European Patent Office, and we're just waiting to select countries and languages now. So the challenges we face essentially are very lightweight material. How do you get throughput, consistency, and quality during your manufacturing? And that's everything from turning whole feathers, cleaning them. We basically shred them in a certain manner, combine them, form them, and end product. And everything in the middle of that is being improved and optimized every single day.
Awesome. We've got 1 minute left. Felix, would you like to ask your question? And I might have to cut you off, Ryan, so let's keep it short.
I can answer very quickly, no problem about that.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right. How you actually sell those? Or do you rent them? What's your business model? I think I have a fairly weak internet connection today, so sorry for that.
That's all right. I think you asked how I sell these things. So at the moment, it's a very simple system.
Yeah, your business model, exactly.
Yeah. This is a package. Right. So right now, this is a packaging material. It's a thing a company just buys. We send pallets of them out. We are exploring, and we have had some come back to us, and there's some interesting thoughts there around, can we track returns and generate value for everyone in the circle and these kind of things. But, at the moment, it's very simple. Make it, sell it. It's being used by customers. In the future, though, I don't want to be making millions of these around the world. And we are, the plan is to move towards licensing. So future funding rounds will get up a pilot facility and, of our own in-house manufacturing, do that optimization I talked about. And then we get people walking around and going, wow, this is wonderful. I'd love to set one up in Northern America, South America, Eastern Europe, wherever. And so then we license that technology out. They do the heavy lifting. We sit with our technology center, coming up with new innovations, new materials, and obviously then subsequently licensing again. So I love the making and creative part of it. Pushing around pallets in a warehouse by myself on a cold Danish night isn't what I'm up for. So yeah, we'll move to that in the future.
Very good, Ryan.
Thanks,
a lot. Ryan, awesome. Love what you're doing at Flubo. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to move on now to our next startup, which is Polina Vasilenko from HelioRec. Hey, Polina.
Hello, everyone. Yes, hi.
We can hear you well.
Great. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet? Because I see my screen.
I can see your screen now, but we're on your Internet Explorer.
Do you see my
yeah.
slides?
Yes, I can see your slides. I don't know if you want to make it bigger. Yep. And yeah, that looks fine.
Okay, it looks fine. Great. Hello, everyone. I'm Polina, founder and CEO at HelioRec. We are building floating solar power plants. With our solution, we want to solve 3 problems. First, we need to cut greenhouse gas emissions as fast as we can. Electricity cost is very high in many European locations, and we don't have enough land space to deploy the solar panels. Usually they take a lot of land space. And by 2050, we will not have space in Europe to install anything on the land. With our solution, we tackle all these 3 problems. First, we generate a clean energy with high efficiency due to cooling effect from water. Electricity cost of our system twice less than electricity from the grid in many locations, and we don't occupy any land space, installation on unused water space. So what we do, basically, we manufacture ourselves this floating system. We do it in Europe, in Estonia. We purchase photovoltaic panels, install it on top of our floating system, and deploy it on the water. Our typical customers are ports, marinas, utilities, municipalities, and the coastal area. So basically any companies near shore locations. And the floating solar market is a fast-growing industry nowadays with annual growth more than 33%. As you see here, it is example in Valencia port. We can install very easily big floating solar power plant, and it will not disturb any maritime activities. We are targeting target market is 126 million by 2026, and it is only in Europe, specifically for our customer segments. We are operating in very harsh conditions at low cost. And how we are doing it? We invented and patented HydroLock feature. It helps to keep systems stable and robust with wave and strong wind. We use recycled plastic to manufacture our floating system. That's why we are 3 times cheaper than our competitors who also operate in offshore conditions. B2b business model, what we sell, it is hardware, so floating solar power plant. Also, we are selling SaaS, so access to dashboard where customers can monitor behavior of floating solar power plant. And as well, we sell the services, engineering, installation, and operation maintenance. We are a very experienced team. Myself, I'm working in the energy sector more than 20 years. Joshua is COO, 8 years in the product development and also had startup experience before. Hashim is CTO, the PhD from École Centrale de Nantes, more than 10 years experience in engineering and research. As well, a few advisors are helping us. We started our journey in 2019. Since this time, we installed 2 projects. Last one was in Belgium, and system could survive a wind speed more than 100 km/h. In the beginning, remember, it was a picture with a blue part. So this is what we installed. We made a patent of our HydroLock. We registered trademark, and total we raised 500,000. Now we are open at our seed round, and we will spend it to prove our technology at scale. We'll install 1 megawatt installation. Money will be spent on manufacturing expansion. So we manufacture ourselves everything in Europe. So we want to expand our manufacturing line. As well, we will obtain EU certificates and other documents. And after 2024, we will move to licensing model. So it will help us to scale faster. By 2026, we will save a lot of CO2, 8 million euro for our customers on electricity price, and a lot of land space. This is me. I'm doing operation maintenance in our installation in Belgium. Thank you very much for your time. So just to briefly, so we are a revenue generating company. We already installed a few projects. We raised 500,000, looking for seed. And yes, welcome for your questions.
a lot, Polina. Excellent presentation. Super exciting what you guys are up to. Felix, over to you.
Yeah, Polina, extremely interesting what you presented, and I worked in the solar industry myself, and floating solar has been going around, I would say, for the last 15 years, and it seems that it's now really taking off, and that you can also do these installations in rough conditions. That's really impressive. You mentioned in your last slide that you have already some installations, but you didn't mention any. Can you share some information about the size and what about the size and actually the performance of your modules? That's question one. And question two is, because you want to do everything, do you also offer financing, or do you work with IPPs, or how do you do that?
Thank you very much, Felix, for your question. So first answer, last project was installed in Belgium in Oostende port. The performance is well. System could survive wind speed more than 100 km/h. It was 2 big storms in Belgium beginning this year. So everything is working well. We generated electricity for workshop where people renovate old boats. So all electricity goes for heating, lighting, refrigerators, everything from our system. And we even share extra electricity with a neighbor building. So the second question about if we're going to do everything by ourselves. So we now looking for 2 business models. So leasing, we lease our installations to the customers and they pay us every month. For this idea, we will go to bank and we'll take money from BPI, for example, it's a French national bank, or ADEM. So with some interest rate, we will finance in the beginning upfront capex, and after that returning revenue from this. Or some customers want a turnkey solution, so they want to buy our power plants with margin. So, and because they want to be owner of installation, and after that they can resell it or do whatever they want. So in terms of other services, what we do, so we are capable to do like engineering, operation, maintenance, and installation. So for installation, for example, if you will do in next project, we plan to do it in Spain. We are partnering with local companies, so will help us to do installation. So, and we need the crane, tools, boat. So we will ask help from these companies. And we resell it to our customers, basically.
Thanks. Cedric?
Hey, Polina, very exciting. Question was actually very similar to Felix, but maybe adding to that, how does the cost comparison work versus land-based solutions and everything else that's out there?
Yes, good question. Usually it is more expensive, specifically our system, around 30-50% more expensive than land-based. But don't forget that we bring 2 other benefits for our customers. First, efficiency is high due to cooling effect from water, 15% approximately. And second benefit, we don't occupy land space. So customers can use this land for something else, to grow food or to build houses, whatever.
Very good. Is there any other questions from investors?
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Polina. I have a twofold question. Like, how do you pick sites essentially, and corresponding connecting it back to the grid? Also, probably a generic question for the floating solar space. Like, what is the impact on biodiversity? Is your building stuff on top? Lack of sun, oxygen, and maybe even leaching of chemicals that come from PVs.
So answering your second question, usually it was few studies that floating solar doesn't affect negatively biodiversity. Yeah. So if you talk about installation in coral reefs, that we need like sun to be entered in the water. So usually it is marine protected areas. So no one let us install anything in these areas. So usually we choose site as industrial areas near shore. So usually it is ports, like marinas, where on the bottom usually it is sand or stones. So there no much impact from sun will not come in this specific small the piece of area. And anyway, water is moving. So anyway, if we block, I don't know, like 10,000 square meters, we will block, but the sea is huge. So anyway, it will not affect much. And your first question, how we choose locations for installation, right? So our sweet spots, it's very crowded countries where not enough land space. So like for example, the Netherlands, Italy. So the second aspect is if there are a lot of sun, obviously. So the Netherlands maybe not the best in this case, so Italy will be better. Also, we choose based on environmental conditions, so wave up to 2 meters and wind speed up to 40 meters a second. So this is limitation of our system. And of course, it's always on where is needs. So for example, in Valencia port, by 2030, they want to cut greenhouse gas emissions, like it will be a net zero port. So, and how they're gonna do this? So installation on roof will not help. I mean, it helps in the portion. Like they don't have a space to install on the ground. So they have a lot of unused water space. So they can use it, and we will help them to be a net zero port. And wind turbines, usually visual impact is not good. So people usually don't like to see it in the sea or on the ground. So, and floating solar, it's not so, it doesn't have visual impact for people. So I hope I can talk a lot about this.
Thank you.
So.
Thanks, Polina. That was great. Really interesting what you guys are up to. Very exciting stuff. Thank you very much. And I'm actually going to welcome to the stage our next startup, all the way from Switzerland, Samuel from UniSieve. Hey, Samuel.
Hello together. Nice meeting you.
And you. I like the logo in the background as well. Very cool.
Very nice. Can you see it? That's good.
I can.
Quickly share my screen. All right, perfect. Does this work?
One sec. Yes, it's not on full screen yet though. Do you want to put it on full screen? That's fine.
I just will. Does it work now?
One sec. No. No, you're still not on full screen.
Okay. Yeah, never mind.
We
That just
we
will.
can see it. Do you want to flip
like
through
that?
to the next? Yeah, that's fine. Over to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so nice meeting you, everybody. I'm Samuel Hess, CEO and co-founder of UniSieve. And the technology UniSieve is based on has been developed during my PhD, where we did the base work, developed and wrote the first patents. And the goal of UniSieve is to maximize the efficiency and sustainability of our world's most energy-consuming industrial processes. Many of us may not be aware that today over 10% is used for industrial separation processes, which actually are the key of the chemical and also the energy industries. So when you have base chemicals or also energy carriers, they all need to be purified before they can be used for further synthesis. And currently state of the art separation is distillation. So here on the left hand side, you can see this gigantic distillation column, and they need a lot of energy, which also means that they're highly polluting and causing a lot of waste. Also, not fully extracting all the chemicals and energy carriers. We from UniSieve, we developed an alternative solution, which is basically it works like a simple kitchen sieve. So it lets through the small molecules, it retains the larger molecules, and by this kind of mechanical separation, we can save up to 90% of the process energy when we compare it to the thermally driven distillation process. Thereby, we also can reduce then the emissions and to increase then the recovery of the processes. Here on the right hand side, you can see our pilot unit that we have installed here in Zurich, where we do run currently trials for clients. Over the last years, we raised 5.7 million Swiss francs that allowed us to implement our supply chain, including also in-house production steps. So there we had just some exciting news last week. So actually we implemented for the first time like a continuous process on our plant, which was really exciting. Then further on, we also conducted pilot tests with clients over the last 2 years. So we are in contact with half of the clients you see on the right-hand side. And now we raise 5 million Swiss francs to standardize our full-size production, and then also to conduct demo testing at the client site. A huge market driver for us is the green transformation that many companies have to undergo, and the pressure that comes with that. For us, first target market is the high-value chemical separation market, followed then by energy market, so hydrogen purification, biogas upgrading. Also, CO2 separation from concentrated sources. That's also an application getting more and more important also to us. And then there are further more industrial separation processes. Our business model works pretty much the same as the one of the printer you may have at home. So we sell containerized unit to the client. And then we also sell a service agreement, so predictive maintenance service, which includes then the annual sales also of the cartridges. And per single installation, that's then 550K per year. And one client may also deploy several of these units. Compared to state-of-the-art, so that's distillation, our solution is much more energy efficient, so also much more cost efficient with that, since energy is a huge spending for clients. Compared to emerging solutions as the one there in the middle, like membranes that emerge, our solution is much more simple since it's like more robust and needs less adaptation. And state-of-the-art membranes, they're not applicable to these kinds of separations. Our team combines the technical and the business expertise needed for our mission. And actually, we are also quite lucky to have specialists like, for example, Hans-Peter, who enabled that we could build out or like also build up our in-house production facility. In this current round, so one of our major goals is to save 1 million tons of CO2 until 2026. And the key deliverables will be to standardize our production, full-size production, and to demonstrate our technology at scale and to get to revenues of 3 million Swiss francs. And half of the round we have already committed. 2 million we still do have open at this point. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Thanks, Samuel. Excellent presentation. We've been a long time supporter of UniSieve, as Sam knows, and love what you guys are up to. Is there any questions from our investor base?
Maybe quick question on my end, like how much retrofitting is actually needed in the current installations to install yours?
Yeah, that's really a plug-and-play solution. So going to market will be the add-on scenario. So we can extend existing distillation columns. So basically, it's only 3 tubes that need to be connected, some electricity, cooling water. That's it, basically.
And maybe in line with that question, I mean, and hi Sam, thanks so much for the pitch. It's good to see you. On like the value proposition and the economics for your customers, how does this work? I think it's like clear from like a regulatory sustainability perspective, but would love to hear from a kind of financial perspective what the drivers are.
Yeah, there I will start with the margins. So it's kind of value-based pricing that we do, and based on that we have 70. Then later on, once we reach scale, 80% of margin, and with the margin, the return on investment for a client is 1 to 3 years. So the main savings the clients basically have is on the energy side, so energy reduction. But then at the same time, they have some spendings for the cartridge, but still they save enough money so that they get the money back, the unit costs in 1 to 3 years.
Thanks, Sam. That's great. Excellent presentation, and unfortunately we've got to move on to our next startup. So thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Favalli.
So next up, I'd like to invite to stage D from Alchemy Technology.
Tell me when they're visible.
Hi, Dee.
Hi there.
Perfect. We've got your presentation up straight away as well.
Okay,
Full
great.
marks so far.
Thank you. Okay, so Alchemy Technologies is aiming working to solve the challenge of the pollution that's created by the textile dyeing and finishing industry. We're in our Series B round at the moment, raised, and we believe we've raised more than half of it. So my slides aren't moving forward. Why could that be?
Yes, you might need to. Actually, we're at important notice.
So you've got the wrong slide deck. I believe you've got the wrong slide deck. So that could be why it's come up so quickly. Can I? So I should be sharing my screen. Bear with me. I don't know what happened there. Can you see my screen?
We can see a presentation which says a typical dye house operation today.
All right. So I'm still not able to move my slides backwards and forward. How is everybody else doing this? I'm using my cursors. This is awful.
We can move them if you'd like, Dee.
Perfect. If you would do. So if you could just go back one, please, that would be great. And I'll tell you when to move on. That'd be fantastic. Okay, so this is a problem that we're solving as a company. So the fashion industry, textile industry, is responsible for around 10% of global carbon emissions. The dyeing part of fashion and textiles is responsible for around 3%, which is massive. It's also the second worst cause of global industrial water pollution. Around 20% of water pollution comes from the dyeing process. If you could move on. So this is the problem, basically. So the clothes we're wearing are literally dyeing rivers and fresh water in areas where textile production is. And if I kind of just point you to the image at the sort of middle top, you see a kind of man and a woman with a little child sort of tucked in behind. That is Indonesia. That's a textile region where the major Western brands are outsourcing clothing manufacture to. So what's happened here is dye has entered the rivers from dye production, from textile production, and actually it's rained, it's flooded, and now people are actually walking the streets full of flooded, dye-laden wastewater. And the last image I wanted to, it's really shocking. It's a horrible industry. And the one image down in the bottom right-hand corner was the one that led to the development of the mission of our technology. That is a factory we visited in China, and we were taken out to see basically the effluent. It was shocking. So if you move on. This is the wrong presentation. This is not my presentation. Okay, so the fashion industry is using 1.5 trillion litres of water annually, 30 tonnes of water to dye a tonne of fabric. Can you move on? So what we've created is a waterless or near waterless dye technology, and what we're doing is reducing the water used by 95%, energy by 85%. The reason why the pollution is so heavy in dyeing is the textiles go into a big vat of dye and water, and then it's swished around like a huge washing machine, and then it has the fabric has to go through 6 or 7 really hot washes afterwards to get rid of the excess dye. So that's what's causing the pollution, and what we're doing is eliminating that washing stage. Can you move on? So what we've done is created a unique application technology. It's a little bit like digital printing, but it's not. What we're doing is we're applying dye at high velocity. So 1.2 billion dye molecules are literally kind of fired at the fabric so that there is no excess. So we're penetrating the fabric very deeply with the dye and laying down the exact amount of dye. So I don't know if you can see here, this is a piece of dyed toweling, and this is cotton. And in fact, we're so successful that we only have to jet the fabric once, and you get this beautiful even color both sides. And here is the example of an upholstery fabric. Again, so a really good commercial product has been produced. Can you move on, please? Again, this is just another, we can move on from here. This is sort of just another explanation of the technology, just basically showing that what we're doing is we're literally firing the dye droplets like cannonballs at the fabric, laying down the exact amount of dye so there is no excess, and therefore we're eliminating the washing process. We have 12 patents for the technology. If you would like to move on. And again, reducing the cost of dyeing by around 50% due to the savings in energy and the savings in chemistry. Could you move on, please? So we have in our the backing of H&M. So our Series A investors are H&M and One Ventures, the impact investors. Here you can see that some also further examples of the product, a collection that we produced for H&M up there in the left-hand corner. Down in the right, the bottom left-hand corner, you can see examples of outerwear and sportswear fabrics that we've dyed. These are polyester. The fabric in the middle actually is cotton. So we've demonstrated that we can successfully dye both types of fabric. Can we move on, please? Okay, so market size, we believe there's a 30 billion potential market for the technology, around 39,000 machines actually out there that could be replaced. Can we move on? So we've got 2 machines in market at the moment being commissioned, one in Honduras, one in Taiwan. We expect to get orders for 15 more machines by the end of the year, looking to up that to 50 next year. 100 installed by 24, and the target is to achieve 200 million revenue by 25. And we're looking to sort of achieve a sort of 500 million evaluation within a few years. Can you move on? I think we're at the end of the presentation. You can see the key, basically, we're looking to get machines into all of the key manufacturing regions, India, Bangladesh, Turkey, Taiwan, initially. Can you move on, please? I think we should be at the end of this. Does it move on?
I think we're actually at 5 minutes, if it's okay.
Great, that's right.
I've got a couple of questions as well from investors. Do you have one thing you wanted to just mention?
Yeah, just wanted to mention, actually, these were not the slides I was going to show. I think these were Simon's slides that he must have sent in at some earlier point. So unfortunately, these are a bit longer than I wanted to go through. But yeah, please ask questions. That would be great.
Okay. Go ahead, Felix.
This was really impressive and a great, very good presentation, even though those weren't your slides. When you went through, especially slide 9, where you compared the costs, my gut feeling was that some companies might just use this as kind of greenwashing. Yeah, we have that one clothing line that is like super ecological, but especially if I don't care about my employees, like in the fast fashion industry, does your machine, buying the machine, does this make economically sense? Like, are you cheaper than the current dyeing process, including buying the machine and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. So the machine cost is around £1 million. So this is where things have changed. Initially, the brands are obviously concerned about sustainability, and they want to be seen to, if the solution was out there, they'd want their supply chain to be using it. The manufacturers obviously care about margin and cost. But there's two things that have come together, which is very helpful for us, sort of penetrating the market. One is the escalating energy costs, which are huge. The other is the water scarcity issue, which is a real concern for the textile industry. So one example is we went to the ITM International Textile Machinery Show in Turkey. We were absolutely inundated with response, and we had conversations with 261 people from 166 companies from 21 countries. Every single one of them. So usually when you're introducing new technology, the drivers are slightly different. It's cost for some, efficiency for others, whatever it may be. But the overwhelming driver and concern from these dye houses was water scarcity. So the image I showed you of the polluted walkway in Indonesia, they are actually having to drill 300 meters into the ground now to get to decent water. In Turkey, the similar thing is happening. So what they're saying to us is, if we can pay more for electricity, and it's a real problem for us, but at least the supply in most cases is there. But if the water supply is not there, we're screwed. And so business survival we're seeing as being a concern and drivers on the two counts: water scarcity and escalating energy costs. So it's that 85% reduction in energy, which is driving the cost where the cost reduction is coming from in terms of operating costs. Using also slightly less dye, because you're not wasting dye. What dye is not being eliminated as effluent. So yeah. So
what's the payback period?
So we're saying around maximum 18 months maximum.
That's impressive.
One other thing to note about this technology, most technologies need a kind of there's no doubt this industry has to change, and that industry knows it. There's no going back. They have to come up with alternatives to this water, energy and pollution from both of the two factors. But we're not asking them to take a huge step change, because what we're doing, the look of the machine is very similar to what they're used to seeing. They just take out this horrible dye bath and put in something that actually looks a bit like a digital printing machine, but it's jetting dye instead of jetting ink to create patterns. It's jetting dye to create solid color, which digital printing can't do. So we're not asking them to take a huge leap.
Thanks, Dee. That's really interesting, and yeah, super exciting to hear the kind of progress you're making, and as well with your round. Thanks a lot for your time, and yeah, I'm sure there's going to be follow-up questions afterwards as well.
Thanks.
So I'd like to welcome to the stage our next startup. It's Iryna from Nurtio. Hi, Iryna.
Hello, something is frozen. Just give me a second, and you'll see my slides shortly. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are, and greetings from the Netherlands. And today I suggest we talk a little bit about reinventing the relationship between humans and plants. So, well, people like plants. That's a fact. In good times and in bad times, people have always tried to surround themselves with green. It makes us happier at home and times more productive at work. Since COVID, actually, the green has become a new black, especially in the corporate real estate segment. The sales of the office plants and living walls are skyrocketing, and some countries like France, for example, are even adopting the new laws mandating the green roofs of all new commercial developments. You would ask, why don't we do all this before? Because the green is so cool. That is because the green is expensive. Not even in the sale cost, but in the further maintenance. Let me show you something. This is a finger test. Yes, the most official and common way of detecting the needs of the plants in the 21st century, even in the professional domain. That's why the plant care is always so expensive. It is obsolete. I do come from the industry myself, and I've been running a plantscaping and plant service company for about 15 years, so I knew there had to be a better way. That's why I co-founded Nurtio, the company, to become a leader in predictive maintenance of the plants. We do so by installing the proprietary sensors in the plants that monitor the essential plant parameters. Then we leverage this data and make the plant needs completely predictable and times more efficient than it currently is. Our technology is currently packaged as 4 different products. Let me guide you through those. Well, 3 you see at the moment. So one of the products, the Nurtio Smart Service, that is created for the professional plantscapers, is capable of cutting down up to 40% of their OPEX. Another product, Nurtio Do It Yourself, is for the cleaning companies that can essentially generate additional revenues utilizing the same resource and the same people that already have deployed on their service sites. And then Nurtio Protect for facility management and all other participants of this value chain. It has already proven that it can help our clients stand out and win new tenders, because the end customers are increasingly looking at the technology in such an obsolete industry as the plant service. We do have a great team. Myself, I come from the industry, and my colleagues are technical, so we have combined a couple of centuries of experience in what we're doing. But there are 3 main facts that I would like you to remember about the team. First of all, we do know the industry we're targeting. We are diverse nationally and in our expertise, and mutually complementing. And we are very resourceful, because we were able to develop and bring to the market a very complex electronics hardware software product with very, very little cash at hand. We are based in the Netherlands, but our operations stretch across all Europe and also in the US. We launched only a couple of months ago, but already we have secured 19 lodging customers in 9 countries. Those are the leading plant service companies, leading facility management companies, and leading cleaning companies. We are doing good, but good is not good enough for us. We want great. We want to become the first thing you think when you're setting up a green wall, when you're investing in a green roof, or simply getting some plants for your office. That's why we have just opened an investment round of $1 million or euros, that's the same nowadays, to help us get there. And we have already secured about a third of it. We have a preference for the convertible instruments, but of course, other options are negotiable as well. Our cap table comprises of only founders because we were very careful with our equity, but we're looking for the like-minded partners with the affiliation to the commercial real estate or agtech or proptech to help us deliver and help us fulfill the dream of the Nurtio sensors and Nurtio algorithms, assisting with every plant that is out there for the humans. So my name is Iryna van der Meij, Iryna Pachomova. I changed the surname last week. Please find me on LinkedIn and I'll be delighted to talk more. And of course, I'm open for the questions.
Thanks, Iryna. That's great. Is there any questions from our panel?
Sure, I have a question. I have a few actually. So yeah, maybe if you could talk about like the technology, how it works, and maybe a bit on like the roadmap and what you see as kind of like the vision for the tech.
Thank you. Of course, gladly. One of my favorite questions. So technology-wise, when we first started having the vision of the connected landscape in the commercial real estate, we realized that there's no sensor technology that would be applicable specifically for the corporate real estate. What I mean by that is, first of all, the connectivity, because all the plant sensors that you might have heard of, they're based either on Bluetooth, which means that you need to be very close to the plant, and it doesn't meet the purpose because our gardeners are in one side of the country and the plants are in the other. And in the other ones are, let's say, 5G connected and talk specifically to the cell towers, which makes them ridiculously expensive and that kills the business case. So we needed the sensor solution that would be cost effective and still have a long range. And the only way was to design it. So we designed the sensors. Well, I'm currently holding the small one, but they come in a different size, and there's also a much bigger one that are being installed in a plant. They measure 4 parameters: the humidity inside the planter, light, temperature, and fertilizer. Then our gateway is extracting that information from the sensors. It's completely plug and play, so we never use any local networks of the customers. That was the first requirement from our clients. And then we leverage this data, and our customers receive it either on a web-based dashboard or on a mobile app in case of the field personnel. So we basically apply the algorithms to predict the plant maintenance. We notify our customers about any extraordinary events that are happening out there and help them to react before the plant died. And we adjust the visitation schedule based on the predicted needs of the plants, which has a potential of cutting up to half of their OPEX, because now they visit just in case, and we want them to do it need-based.
Thank you.
Thanks, Iryna. I wish I could have one of these for my home and all of my plants in.
Everyone says that. Everyone says that. But, we've been considering the consumer market as well, naturally. But in our office, we have a little box. Well, it's not little. It has a tag, the cemetery of the consumer-oriented plant sensors. These are the products from Kickstarter that didn't make it, and we don't want to be one of them. So we definitely have ambitions to go to the consumer market later, but we just saw this huge opportunity in the commercial real estate. We have very sizable average checks from our customers. Our cost of sales are beautiful, and we would never, ever have that luxury in the consumer market.
Understood. Is there any more questions from the panel?
Yeah, one question on the tech itself. So not the hardware, but on the software that you provide. Like, how do you charge for it, and then what kind of ticket sizes do you believe that these big what is it, maintenance companies will actually pay for it, or is it the building or
Well, thank you for that question. So our general business model is sale of the hardware plus SaaS for the software. We split it because then we can put the hardware in the different distribution channels and then have the luxury of all the revenues from the software to ourselves. We have several products. So one of the products is Nurtio Protect, which is sensors plus all the data. That business case makes sense for only the high-end part of the service portfolio, and we expect about 10 to 20,000 annual recurring from the mid-size interior-scaping company. But there's also something that we made up. We called it Nurtio Insight, which is another spin-off product, which is the plant tagging system for the plants. Basically stickers instead of sensors when the sensor doesn't make economic sense. So we sell it really cheap. Still get maybe 10 to 15,000 euros recurring from an average customer, but that's an excellent customer lock-in, because average customer maintains about 30,000 pots, and the moment when they put 30,000 stickers in their field, we got them locked. And then we can upsell sensors, then we can upsell data, we can upsell algorithms. So basically, this is one of the products that can help us secure the market position much better than any patent.
Thanks, Iryna. That's great. And we're going to actually thank you very much for your time, first of all. I certainly have lots of questions I'd like to follow up with you with, and I'm sure other people will as well. We are going to move on now to Marcello from SiWeGO.
Hi to everybody. Yes, can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
We can. Go ahead.
Great. Hi to everybody. I'm Marcello Favalli, the CEO co-founder of SiWeGO, Smart Eco Transport. Dear ClimAccelerator, we have a problem. That's it. The spare space of any vehicle. So one big problem, but two big targets. On one hand, transport companies, on the other hand, common people. So about this problem, we can say that in Europe, 25% of transport vehicles travel empty. And about consumer problem, we can say that in Europe, we have 270 million of cars with only 1.3 people per car. So this means more than 70 billion of wasted fuel. But we have the solution. The solution is SiWeGO. The solution is to fill and sell the spare space of any vehicle with a real-time matching between senders and drivers that are already on the same route. That's our core business. So the product, our product is ready from the real-time matching through the chat, the payment system, the tracking, geolocalization, token system, it's an OTP, feedback about senders and drivers, and an automatic invoice. So everything is made to be totally scalable. And again, you can download it for Google Play, for App Store. So we are ready for the market. We are a double-side platform, so we have two targets. On one end, small and medium enterprises that need to send a box. And here the market is so huge, it's enough to think about more than 22 millions of small and medium enterprises in Europe that need to send box. And on the other hand, our target is made by small and medium enterprises that want to deliver a box. Again, the market is so interesting. Think about only Europe, almost 900 billion as revenue. But it's important to underline our vision, because SiWeGO, the vision of SiWeGO is about consumers. And in this case, you can think SiWeGO such as a BlaBlaCar of goods. here is the way to scalability. The business model is quite simple. It's a SaaS, so consumer and business senders pay a success fee. Professional drivers, transport companies, pay an annual subscription. All this was made by 8 managers. Altogether, we have more than 200 years of complementary experience. We are right now in a call to action in a fundraising for 500,000 euro. We already get raised 180,000 euro, even from transport companies and from ClimAccelerator. We already had total grants for 120,000 euro, and our value company is 4 million. How we are going to spend this budget? 70% for marketing, because now we have the team, we have a good product, and what we need is to disseminate our app. So our motto is that it's not enough. SiWeGO is totally compliant with SDG impact, especially for 9, 11, 12, and 13 categories. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I am at your disposal.
Thanks, Marcello. A great presentation. So, any questions from our panel?
Yeah, maybe first question from Meij and Marcello. Very interesting. Like, basically, there's a bit of a chicken egg problem here, because you have the supply side and demand side, and the demand side, or like, yeah, let's say the shippers are only interested when you have carriers and the other way around. So how are you actually going to address that problem, and how are you gonna, make sure that there's enough, enough people basically on your platform?
Thank you for this question. Very smart question, I will say. For the yes, it's a chicken problem. You're right. We are going to solve this problem thanks to this person, to these investors, because Messaggeria del Garda, transport company, Gruppo Sinergias and other transport companies. So one side of our double side platform is covered by two these big transport companies. So now what we are going to do is to develop the demands, the request of transportations, of deliveries. And in this way, if we grow up this part of our double-side platform, then we can start to sell also the subscription to other transport companies. Did I answer your question? So it's not anymore a chicken problem, but we decided to start from the egg, we can say.
Thanks, Marcello. Makes sense. Is there any questions from anyone else?
Could you elaborate the sort of climate case for this? And the second question I have is, how do you incentivize?
Excuse me, I didn't understand the first question, sorry.
What is the climate case for this?
ClimAccelerator, it's a ClimAccelerator. We won the Circular Cities Accelerator program from ClimAccelerator, so they decided to enter in our fundraising.
Marcello, just to jump in, the question was, what is the climate case for your company? What are the climate benefits?
Case. Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Luke.
Okay, yeah. What we are going to do, it's a pilot project for some capitals in Europe. We are speaking with some of them. We would like to start this pilot project. In this way, we could increase our community in a specific area, and that's very important, of course, for a startup and even for an app that need senders and drivers in the same location. So that's our case for ClimAccelerator.
Thanks, Marcello. That's great. And thank you for the questions, both of you. We're actually going to move on now to our next startup. Thanks a lot, Marcello.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to introduce our next startup, which is Alexander Braun from qCoat. Alexander, we can see your slides, so you're ready to go. But you are on mute.
Now you can hear me, right?
Great.
Okay, so hello everybody again. I'm very excited to introduce qCoat to you today. In the next 5 minutes, it will be about advanced chemistry and about membrane filtration, and of course, how qCoat will help this traditional separation industry, help into a new functional era. qCoat is an industrial tech spin-off from a German research institute. Back in 2013, big name membrane manufacturers asked the research institute for a solution for membrane fouling. Membrane fouling is a natural process of blocking the microscopic pores of the filter membrane, and surface science soon came up with a solution and a compelling proof of concept. And further, throughout 2018, the R&D was intensified, and the concept of membrane functionalization was extended beyond the fouling solution towards bioactive membrane functions, and the whole process technology was transferred into a roll-to-roll pilot line already. And then in 2019, after 3 important patents were granted, an experienced team came together, including myself, and we are combining scientific excellence, serial entrepreneurship, and ramp-up experience from the industry. And since last year, we are seed funded, and we are doing intensive sampling and technology qualification with our customers right now. So how do we do that? What is the technology about? So we give new functions to market standard membranes, and we turn the membranes into a technology platform. And looking at the kind of fluids that pass through the membrane, we select functional groups of small or even large biomolecules. And then our unique electron beam triggers an eco-friendly chemical reaction and guarantees a lifelong membrane functionalization. And the trick is, if you like, the secret sauce. The electron beam travels, like X-ray, travels through the membrane, penetrates the membrane, and compared to standard state-of-the-art technology where membrane functionalization only happens at the very top or at the very bottom of the membrane, qCoat in turn increases the active functionalized membrane by a factor 100 or even more. We are very successful with membrane functionalization and have proven to be successful in 4 different market segments. Most dynamics we see today in the life science and the bioproduction segment. And over the last 12 months, we have identified and talked to over 120 industrial prospects and leads from around the globe, out of which the numbers you can see yourself, we qualified for paid trials. And with 4 of them, we just recently had discussions about LOI, and LOI for us means industrial scales volumes starting from 2024 onwards. Today, I like to concentrate a bit on the water purification industry. Here we have introduced our brand Hi2F. Hi2F stands for high flux and low fouling, and helps to save a lot of energy. In a tremendously big market, still growing, especially when you consider how many people still have no access to clean water, or when you think of 70% of global wastewater returns to the oceans untreated. Water filtration has always been an energy-intensive industry. And to give you a little perspective, our contribution to the energy savings in that sector can be translated to 50 megatons of non-released CO2. That's a huge number. That's at the national emissions level of a country of Sweden or of Vietnam, for instance. So our business model is coating as a service, coating of membranes for the membrane manufacturer or for the module manufacturer. Of course, it's a B2b service, and we have different pricing models for the different market segments. To do this, we need to invest approximately 10 million euros. The biggest portion of that is reserved for the coating machine, industrial scale, with which we will reach cash break even. And also we need to increase our lab and quality assurance capabilities. We will increase the staff to about 30 people and step up our intellectual property basis. We aim for a closing of this round. We are just at the beginning in late summer next year. I'm hoping I got you hooked. Please contact me. Here are my coordinates.
Thanks, Alexander. Really great to see so much good early traction in the market. Is there any questions from our panel?
I can't believe you have no questions.
I can go. What do you see as, I guess, like scaling challenges as you're targeting your customers? I believe you said you were on a POC.
Now, as we have the pilot line from our research institute, the pilot line is a roll-to-roll machine already working on 15 inches web width. Industry standard is 40 inches. So it's, yeah, it is scaling, but it's not an engineering no-go. It's quite easy. It's quite straightforward. We use the pilot line in order to assemble the specifications. We are in talks with 3 machine manufacturers right now from Germany, so they don't see a scale-up issue, not from the mechanical or from the engineering point of view. And the chemistry works the same on the pilot line as in the industrial scale. So I've been in the thin film technology, surface science, roll-to-roll technology all my professional career. So I can guarantee you the scale-up, this is not a topic.
Thanks, Alexander. One last question from Rebecca.
Yeah, thanks so much for the presentation. I just wanted to ask about value capture over time. I imagine that you're providing a lot of value to your customers, but kind of what in terms of like your pricing model, how do you see this developing, and how do you capture some of this value yourself?
Yeah, value capture happens differently in those 4 segments. For instance, in the water industry, the membranes are operated, membrane bioreactors, for instance, they are operated 7, 8, up to 10 years. We help the operator to reduce the total cost of ownership by 25%. And as we only functionalize the membrane deep inside the value chain, we transfer this increased value to the module manufacturer, and then he sells onward. In the bio production and the pharmaceutical industry, it's a completely different story. Here we attach functionalized bioactive molecules to the membrane, and we open up completely new technologies. Membrane chromatography is in a big change right now. So this is in many cases only a one-time use operation, completely different pricing models to the other industries.
Thanks, Alexander. That's great. And with Alexander, you are the last startup from our demo day. Thank you very much for your time. Again, If anybody would like to reach out to any of our startups, please do. They're keen to talk. I'd like to thank, first of all, our investor panel, Rebecca, Felix, who has just left, Namratha, and Cedric. Thank you very much for your time. I hope there's some good food for thought and some interesting startups to follow up with. I'd also like to thank, obviously, our entrepreneurs, Ryan from AEROPOWDER, Polina from HelioRec, Iryna from Nurtio, Sam from UniSieve, Dee from Alchemy Technology, and Marcello from SiWeGO. If any of you would like to speak with the entrepreneurs around investment, then I'd be happy to provide the introductions. My email is luke.baker@climatekick.org, or you can reach out to them directly. Their details are on the chat. And with that, I will close the event. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks so much for having us. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.